All right, I think we've got this going. So just give us a second to get queued up here and get a second screen open so that way we can see all of your comments. So this is our first time to go live, and so we're a little green on the uptick here. So if you're here, kind of make yourself known. Rhonda Howell, you're watching. I see you. I'm just shocked that you're the first person. Oh, Dottie Tennant's here. Watch out. We're going to find it on my computer screen so we can see all of your questions.
We got Jazz.
Jazz, hey Jazz.
Hello, hello.
Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. Let's see here. Okay. Sloane's here, all right. We want to make sure we can get all the comments posted. This is when we need Kathleen right next to us to keep us moving. We're such rookies when it comes to this type of stuff.
Oh, Kathleen is watching.
Uh-oh. The Chancellor's watching us. This is going to be very scary. The Chancellor's on. Welcome, Harrison Garlic. All right, so here we are. Father Carvajal and I are Facebook Living you all, and so we're ready to hang out with you guys and answer any questions you have. We do have a very special guest who is in the room with us who wants to make a cameo appearance, and so let's see who else is here. We've got Father Pratt popping in on us this evening. There you are. So, good evening to you, Deborah. How are you? Your tech skills are improving. Well, they're not very good, so thank you for giving us a round of applause. I'm not sure if we deserve that quite yet or not. So, why don't you throw some questions out there at us so we can begin a conversation with you all.
I would like to ask the first question, actually.
Oh, okay. What's your first question?
The question is, can I go to bed now?
Well, Father Pratt, you can only go to bed if you go upstairs and make the coffee and turn the coffee pot on for us. So that way we have coffee at about 5:30 in the morning. So you're dismissed.
Yes, thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, Angie Rains. Good to see you as well.
Hi, Becky.
Becky Schwartz. Good to see you as well. Coming on here. Throw us some questions. Oh, we're not amazing, Rhonda. You're too good to us. But we need some conversation starters here. Oh, Mary Wolf, welcome aboard. We hope that all of you are enjoying your family time in this kind of time of quarantine. Here at Holy Family Cathedral, there are 7 of us living in the rectory together, and we jokingly are calling it the COVID-19 #15 because we're eating dinner together every night, which means that there's a lot of potential for some poundage to happen in this world, but we're having great times of community. Sid asked the question, here's an idea for Palm Sunday. What does everyone on Palm... Missed that one. Let me go back to it here. What does everyone on Sunday, April 5th in the morning puts branches on the door? I love that idea. I saw that earlier. Sid is asking a great question. What if everyone decorated the doors of their homes, the domestic churches, with some sort of palm branch to make it known that you are observing a Christ triumphant entry into Jerusalem? A great idea. So decorate your doors with some sort of greenery to make it known that you're honoring Palm Sunday, even though you can't come to church proper. So it's a great idea, Sid. Thank you for throwing that out there. What else you got for us? Let's see what else is here. A friend of mine asked me, is the adoration still going on? So the church is open here at the cathedral on Wednesdays from 2 to 5 for confessions, and then on Friday afternoons from 12:45 until 5. Adoration in the proper sense is not going on in the monstrance, but obviously our Lord is present in our church in the tabernacle for you to come and to adore him, and so we welcome you to do so. And then again, Saturday from 2 to 5 and Sunday morning from 7:30 to 9 a.m. the church is open for you to come. And we're soon to publish our Holy Week schedule where you can see when the church will be open during Holy Week for you to come and spend some time in quiet prayer. Obviously, social distancing appropriately is the important part of this. Let's see what else you have here. Can you see us live? I cannot see you live.
We can just see your tiny, tiny picture.
And let's see what else is going on. Enjoy the tour of the construction. You're so welcome. Dean, that was great to take you all through that. If you've not seen the video of the live tour of the construction from yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon at 3:30, you can find it on our Facebook page and kind of catch up on what's happening in the lower level of the cathedral during this exciting time of construction. All right, next question. Are you guys and other priests allowed to visit the dying in the hospital? You want to take that one?
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah, so we would love to be with all the dying at this moment, especially during this moment. But because of kind of the seriousness of the virus, we're only really able to, under certain circumstances, right? Only if they're if they are certainly dying, and of course we have to take all the necessary precautions that they asked us to. Gloves, masks, and everything. So only those who are dying at this moment.
So the good news is, being in the city of Tulsa, two of our major healthcare systems are Catholic healthcare systems, and both of those healthcare systems have full-time priest chaplains that are there. And then Bishop Conwell has been working to make sure that there are backup plans in place to cover those priests in the event that they are not able to go and offer the last rites to those who are in need of the sacraments. And so we're doing our very best to make sure that those who are in hospitals, not just our Catholic hospitals, but any hospital, have access to the sacraments if they are in dire need of them. It's a great question, but I'll tell you, it is a painful time because the restrictions are great at our hospitals all across the board as they are taking precautions to keep their patients safe. And so the normal visiting a priest into those hospitals is different, but in the exception of someone dying, by all means, we will make sure that they're getting the sacraments that they need. Good question. Thank you for the comment, David. Enjoy the construction tour. It was great being with you guys as well. Monica's watching. Welcome, Monica. Let's see, there's Nicole. Katya, welcome, Katya. Jazz, how do you feel about the COVID-19 breakout? You want to take that one?
Sure, yeah. I mean, obviously very serious as we're seeing other parts of the world struggling. A very trying time for us, especially as Catholics. We have a little separation from each other, from that communion, but also from that direct communion with our Lord in the Eucharist and from all the other sacraments. Besides, we have confession available, thanks be to God, and thanks to our bishop. But yeah, very trying time. Also, though, a good opportunity, though, right? We do want to look at the bright side. We see this opportunity to come together with our families and those we might be quarantined with, right? And so we see this as a plus and as a time to ramp up our prayers, our devotions, and just to unite ourselves to all who are suffering in the world. And especially for those who often go without the Eucharist as often as we have it, remote areas of the world where they might see a priest a couple of times a year, so we get to unite ourselves to them and their struggles. So
I recently was talking to someone about this very issue, and there was a concern that this is going to make Catholics somewhat desensitized to the necessity to go to Mass and to receive the Eucharist. And my sense is, I think that when we have the ability to assemble again as a community of faith around the altar of sacrifice, again, my hope and my prayer and my sense is that we will return with a greater vigor, because when you have to do without that which is most precious to you, when you have access to it again, you appreciate the gift that it is. And so it is my prayer and hope that when we are able to return to our pews, that the gift of the Eucharist and the gift of the sacrifice of the Mass that sometimes we take for granted because of the number of masses and the number of churches, particularly in the city of Tulsa, that we have access to, we can sometimes go to Mass somewhat robotically. And now I think we will come to Mass with a whole different sense of appreciation, for what we get. In regards to the overall outbreak, I think all of us, maybe were a little suspicious at the beginning. Is this really going to be that big of a deal? And as we look at different parts of the world that have not taken precautions, as we're being invited to take precautions, are dealing with some pretty serious issues. And so it is a big deal. A lot of people have lost their jobs. The local community is suffering, and it is a time where we have to bind ourselves together as a Christian community in prayer, but also in charity, if we can offer assistance to our brothers and sisters who are in need. It is so important that we give from our resources to care for our neighbors. And so it's a great time to show who we are as a Catholic people. Even though, again, we might be living a bit in the diaspora right now, there's a time for us to rally together and be people of deep faith and charity to those who are around us. So great question, Jazz. You two don't look 6 feet apart. Well, that's one of the things I'm sure, when you're living in households with your families, the same thing is true. You're not always 6 feet apart from your spouses and from your children. You breathe the same air, you eat from the same dishes, and you pray that individually we're taking all the precautions that are necessary to keep the virus from coming into the house. And that's the same rule of thumb that we're taking here, that we're all being very cautious in what we're doing during the day and during the evenings, and in the fact that we're breathing the same air and using the same space. As brothers in this household, there are 7 of us living here. And so we may not be 6 feet apart right now, but we definitely are taking all the precautions to keep the household healthy in these days.
Yeah.
All right, what else is down here? Can someone duplicate the pattern of the stencil you found in the kitchen? Wonder if it has any religious significance. Good question. So we have taken high-resolution photos of that stenciling with the hopes that we can definitely reproduce it. What she is referencing is when we started the renovation project downstairs and unearthed the current, actually when we took down the current ceiling structure, we found kind of some remnants of some of the original stenciling work that was done when the cathedral was built. And so we're trying to figure out a way to preserve some of it, but we definitely have photographed it in high resolution, so that way we have the ability to potentially reproduce it and kind of maintain that part of our history. So great recommendation. All right. Jennifer, thank you for acknowledging the live streaming of the masses. We've been working hard to get those to a higher quality. We came out of the chute with some basic equipment, but I know somebody over at Bishop Kelly, and so thanks be to God, we were able to bring the BKTV equipment over to the cathedral and use it here for good, during this time. It is the Mother Church of the Diocese, and we have a responsibility of making sure our liturgies as we live stream them are of high quality, particularly when the bishop is present, and he has been very generous in being here every Sunday during this time of pandemic, and will be here obviously for the Chrism Mass next week and for the Holy Week liturgies. And I just spoke with him today. He'll celebrate the Easter Vigil, and he wants to come back again on Sunday morning and celebrate the 10 a.m. Mass with the community again. And so Bishop Condrela, we're very appreciative of him and his presence with us during this time of difficulty. And again, we want to make sure the quality of those films or these videos are good.
Yeah.
All right, next question is very important. Who cooks?
Yeah, we've had a lot of time in the evenings to come together to cook, to eat together, most importantly. Father Kastl, you've taken many of the dishes so far, and then the rest of us kind of fill in the slots throughout the week. So it's been good. That's one of the better parts of, one of the positive parts of this whole thing.
The good news is we're not just eating, we gather and pray together, which, as diocesan priests, we don't always have the privilege of praying in community. And so last week was our first time we started it, but on Sunday evening we had Solemn Vespers and we live streamed that. But we're praying together as a household every evening.
Speaking of praying together, look who it is.
We have another surprise visitor. Look who's here.
Hi!
It's his father, Zui Nguyen. He is the full-time chaplain at Bishop Kelly High School and is one of the residents here at the cathedral. Again, he's not observing the 6 feet distancing either, but again,
That's right.
we live and breathe the same air together,
Yeah.
so we're just trying to all stay healthy in general. So
I believe that, if we're going down together, right? I'm going to take them with me, so yeah. we had to go down together. But very happy to see many of you here. So I hope that you are doing well. Please know that I'm praying for you all. I don't know if your pastor and associate pastor are praying for you, but I am praying for you guys. Okay, so yeah.
That's a young priest speaking, obviously. The old rector here. Among these young priests. It's. I pray for them, really. Thank you for coming by,
Good
Father.
to see you. Yes,
Take
okay.
care.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Beyond cooking and praying, the question is: can you perform last rites via video? A friendly reminder that suicide is against our religion. That is definitely the truth. And so, Anne, great question. So, you want to take that one? Can we provide last rites via video?
Via video. So no, the last rites, that's one of the sacraments. Really, they have to be in person, right? We need that physical contact, right, with the oils, and to provide the words, right, in person. So we have to enunciate the words, and we have to, provide that oil, on the forehead, and if possible on the hands as well.
And I think also for those who don't have access to a priest, in humility, we acknowledge that if the person has a humble and contrite heart and desires reconciliation and makes an act of contrition to the best of their ability, or the loved ones who are with them, prays for them in a particular way with piety, we entrust them into the merciful hands of the Lord, and I think the church in her wisdom obviously would say the normative way in which a person is forgiven of their sins is through confession and through the apostolic pardon and so forth. But in the event that there is no priest available or able to meet that person in that moment of need at the hour of their death, God's mercy is abundant. And if that person makes a good, solid act of contrition, has the humble, contrite heart, we trust in God's mercy for them. So, good question, especially during this time of uncertainty. Oh, there's Tennille. Tennille Brown's here. Christy Bell's here. Jean Brankin, you both are so concerned about us, but how are you doing? Oh, you're so sweet. Jeannie, I miss you on Sunday mornings. Jeannie and her husband are so generous in being the Sunday morning sacristans. And so I had the opportunity of popping up still half asleep most Sunday mornings, that we both do. And there they are, wide awake with the church opened.
They take good care of us.
They take very good care of us.
Yeah.
And so thank you for asking. We're doing okay. But I will say we miss you. Fundamentally, we miss you. Father Pratt was saying on the porch tonight, okay, this is getting old. We need our people. We need the opportunity to have kind of unrestricted ability to go out and to spend time and to minister and to love on our people. And so we're doing well, I think, psychologically, spiritually, obviously, nutritionally, but our hearts are hurting not being in close contact with you guys, to be honest with you. Anything else to say about that?
No, I just second that as well.
All right, Jim, did you guys call each other ahead of time? You are wearing the same thing. That is so crazy, right?
It happens every once in a while.
But Jim, you gotta be a little bit more astute that we're not exactly wearing exactly the same thing. Our collars are different.
Keep it a little different here.
Changing it up.
That's right.
He has the full band collar, and I have just the old tabby. So that's what happens when you don't coordinate your wardrobe exactly. We're off just a little bit this evening.
Sue is here.
Sue's here.
Great.
Mary Dan's. Dottie, here you go. What you got, Dottie? Wanna read that one?
Yeah, how can we support our priests during this trying time in addition to our prayers? Well, what do you think?
Those prayers are number one.
Yeah.
Those prayers are absolutely number one. And many people have sent emails. They have made phone calls. Some people have dropped off food. And so again, it's humbling. It really is humbling how much we feel your love and your support and your care. And oftentimes we'll look at each other in the rectory and just think, you know what, we're spoiled brats, because you all love on us so much. We feel that connection, that care, that appreciation. towards us. And we hope that you experience the same back, from our charity and from our ministry towards you. And so it is a mutual exchange between a priest and a community. But those prayers and those words of support during this time are very important to us. But again, as men who don't have families, who are celibate, who have given themselves fully to the church, like life without you, it is painful. Let's just be honest, because you are our family, you are our children, our spiritual children, and not having access to you feels like some part of our life has been cut off. And so, I think some people can say, "Oh, you're just kind of enjoying this time of relaxation." Well, things might be a little bit different, but there's a huge void in our lives right now of not being able to have that free access into your lives as we are used to. And so those prayers are so important, and just know that we look forward to that reunification whenever we can all kind of fully gather again as we normally do in a few weeks ahead. So thank you for asking that, Dottie. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dottie. And anytime you guys reach out, it's been beautiful. Any emails, any texts, calls, it's great. Like Father said, we do miss you guys a lot, and so we're thinking about you, praying about you nonstop because we're family. So
Absolutely.
So it's neat anytime we get to hear from you.
All right, so Mark asked the question, when will the catechumens be brought into the church? That's a great question. So the way it is right now, obviously with no public liturgies happening, at the Easter Vigil, or during kind of between now until after Easter, all of those individuals who have been very faithful in preparing themselves for the Easter sacraments will get brought into the church sometime, we pray, during the Easter season. So as soon as we are able to come back to church and have a little bit of time of planning and preparation, we will find a due time to bring them into the sacramental life of the church just as soon as we can. And so that's a challenge right now, because these individuals have been so faithful in coming to Mass and going to RCIA and praying and preparing, and they want nothing more than to receive the sacraments and become Catholic. And so pray for them, support them if you know them, if they're in your family, keep encouraging them. Father and I have been having a virtual RCIA the last several weekends, and we'll continue doing virtual RCIA with that group until we're able to celebrate those sacraments. But soon, after we're able to return to normal worship, we'll be able to bring them into the church. So great question.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our RCIA folks, good people. Also, shout out to my sister. I saw you're in here, Isabel. Good to see you.
For some reason, my little feed here has stalled on viewing comments, and so let me see if I can click into a different way of looking at these comments and catch up with everything that you are saying. Again, we are somewhat of rookies in the world of technology. Let me see what I can do on my computer over here. Maybe it'll unfreeze itself. Oh, here we go. Nope. There we go. Now we're moving again. So we're going to pick up with, it was good to see the three of you. Prayers that you stay well. Thank you, Mary Dans. Here we go. Can you talk a little bit about Holy Week liturgies during COVID-19, specifically how the Chrism Mass and His Excellency Bishop David will preside on Holy Tuesday? That's coming from John Henry Mary Newman. Very good. So the Chrism Mass will be celebrated here at the cathedral. Obviously, a liturgy that is closed to the public. And he will have around him the vicars of the diocese, which are kind of his representatives out in different sections of the Diocese of Tulsa. They will be with him, kind of representing those different regions of the diocese. He will celebrate the Mass as normal and bless and consecrate the oils for the coming year. And those oils will be then distributed after, again, the ability to kind of to re-engage with parishes after the kind of the lifting of the COVID-19 crisis. And so that will happen here at the cathedral. That will happen at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday of Holy Week. It will be live streamed. And so if you want to tune in, just come back to the Holy Family Cathedral website and you can find that. Bishop Kastl will also celebrate Holy Thursday at 5:30 p.m., Good Friday at 5:30 p.m., and he will celebrate the Easter Vigil at 8:30 p.m. It'll be the full vigil, all readings, all the bells and smells will happen. And so tune in for that, and he will return on Easter Sunday to celebrate the 10 a.m. Mass. And so Bishop Carvajal, again, is being very present at the cathedral, celebrating these very significant liturgies in the life of the church. And I pray that many of you will choose to tune in and to pray with us, although distantly, to pray with us during these most holy days of the liturgical year. So great question. All right, Anne. Let's see here. Where was it here? I missed one. Kevin Jacobs. Father David, looks like we need to reschedule your dinner over here at the Jacobs house at the end of April.
We hope by then, yeah. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Hey, Kevin, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate you inviting me to that dinner, but I guess I'll catch you at a different time. All right, so Anne, that's the way it is transmitted, though, by touching an affected person. I'm not sure you maybe...
in terms of last rites. The last rites.
It's a great question. So if someone is positive for COVID-19, there has been an exception that has been made, to administer the anointing of the sick with the use of obviously wearing gloves, as well as the use of either a cotton ball or a Q-tip as a way to, again, provide the protection for the minister of the sacrament while also administering the sacrament to the person who is in need. And so Bishop Kandla, as well as those who are in the medical world, have been working very closely together to make sure that the integrity of the sacrament is being celebrated in the way that the church prescribes, as well as protecting the minister of the sacrament in that moment of administering that to that person. It's a good question. All right. I miss getting out, but I'm high risk. Hey, Bob, we're glad that you're tuning in to us this evening. We're glad that you are staying safe out there. I was wondering, who are you wearing?
Barbaconi.
Oh, Barbaconi, and I'm Euroclero here.
Yeah.
Two different brands of clerics here. Janet, happy you are doing well. Prayers continue for all the priests. Thank you for those prayers.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see here. So, Father, since all of the barber shops are closed, are you cutting each other's hair? I would not dare touch his locks. Let me just tell you.
I might let them flow. We'll see. Hopefully I can get back into that barbershop soon. So
here's the difference of the ages between the two of us is that I used to have hair like that, and I used to spike it straight up, and now mine's falling out, and I can do just well to kind of get it down in the front, and he can grow his up and flow it over to both sides, and so the joy of youth. But there may be a point that we had to break out the Flowbee and see what happens here at the rectory for haircuts. But we might all be in desperate need of a little trim before Easter, so we'll see how that all happens. Will any of the Holy Week services be broadcast? All of them will be.
Yeah.
And so please tune into those. Again, Kathleen will be sending out an email through Flock Notes, as well as sending and posting on our Facebook page and on our website the updated times for confessions, as well as the times for all of our live streamed Holy Week Masses.
Yeah, stay posted. Yeah.
Lots of confession times during Holy Week. So if you need to get rid of a little sin, just come on over to Holy Family, and we'll be happy to take care of that for you. The abundance of the grace of confession is here at the cathedral. Oh, there's Jerry Potter tuning in. We need to remember to support you and the church by keeping up our financial assistance if we are able. Thank you, Jerry, for mentioning that. Again, this is a bit of for me, kind of a struggle. I realize that many people are losing jobs and are struggling to pay bills and support families. And so it's how much do you kind of make that message known out there, because the church still has its bills, on an annual basis and on a monthly basis. We have to pay our salaries to our employees, as well as all of the kind of the fixed costs of running the cathedral. As you well know, the maintenance of this place is pretty intense. The age of our building and so forth. And so if you are able to continue financially supporting the cathedral, we would greatly appreciate it. There's online giving on our website. We have a Venmo account, a PayPal account, and obviously you can send your contributions in directly to the parish. And so thank you for all of those who have continued to do so. We greatly appreciate your support. Father Carvajal has to eat, so please make sure you send in your tithe.
Don't let me starve.
Hello, fathers. This is a great idea. Love it. Thank you, Amber. We love being on here. I'll be honest. I think for both of us, we're like, oh, we don't know about this. This is kind of outside our comfort zone, but here we are. We need to create virtual community.
Yeah.
All right. Lori, good questions. All right. Allison Pollard is here. Ronnie Brown is watching. I am having donut withdrawals.
Oh,
Kathleen
man.
Jones. I am too. I miss the old fashions on Sunday morning. So we may have to get Father Carvajal to go out and buy some donuts for the household on Sunday just to keep it going.
We've been surviving off of just coffee, and it's been okay, but I'm missing that sugar as well. Maybe during Easter.
Maybe we can send the seminarians.
Yeah, there we go.
We have two seminarians that are living here, and they're always looking for ways to serve, and so why not kind of keep coffee and donuts going by sending them out to Daylight Donuts? I'm sure they would like to watch that or like to fulfill that. Okay, so moving on here. Janice, I would like to enroll in the RCIA when all of this is over, but not sure how to go about it. Myself and my 2 teens. Hooray, Janice! We would love to have you. So Janice, if you can just find one of our emails on the website, mine is frkastl, Kastl, at tulsacathedral.com, and yours is?
Father Fr Carvajal at tulsacathedral.com.
Send us an email.
Yeah.
And we will get you lined up for what you need to be doing to kind of get going. Because there are other people just like yourself that are kind of coming in at this time, and we would love to start working with you and getting you on the track to becoming fully initiated in the Catholic faith. So welcome to the community, Janice. We're happy that you desire to join us. All right, Mary Ferraro, hello. Hello, Mary, thank you. Crystal, will Tenebrae service be celebrated streamed? I have some bad news, Crystal. Tenebrae will not happen this year, and so that's one of the unfortunate kind of fallouts of this whole thing is Tenebrae will not be celebrated this year at the cathedral, but we are promising to bring it back next year. So thank you for asking. And again, my apologies for the disappointment of having to let that service go this year. What's your favorite cooked dish? Kay Nicole Conway, what's your favorite cooked dish?
I'd say just spaghetti and meatballs. Pretty simple. I don't ask for much.
He sounds simple, but that's not quite what I experience on a daily basis here at the cathedral. So spaghetti meatballs, for myself, I would say a good red sauce is also kind of in my wheelhouse. I also love roasted chicken. But let's just be honest, I love food. I love to cook. I love to eat. It is my hobby. It's kind of my happy place. And so anything that tastes good. Tonight we made a little chicken in a tomatillo sauce. And so it was quite tasty. We had made homemade tortillas tonight, which was a nice little kind of addition to the menu. So we had fun tonight passing around all the tasty treats around the table. All right, so let's see here. Kind of get the rest of this one opened up. All right, having a little bit of a glitch here on my screen. Can't quite, something's stuck. All right, the next one that came up is Tim Hankins. Let me know if you would like me to grill baby back ribs for you. Tim, bring them on. Bring them on. Just give us a heads up of when you're bringing them. We would never turn down haystack ribs, but just don't bring them on Friday. All right, just don't bring them on Friday and tempt us on the Fridays during Lent. So we'll
start the grill, Tim. Just let us know when.
Thank you for the offer. We appreciate it. All right, Ruth, so glad to see you. I want to say what a blessing it was to confess. Well, that's sweet of you. Thank you, Ruth. Blessings to you. It was beautiful to be out in the front of the church this last Saturday evening. And we had 3 priests here, and we had 2 inside, and I kind of took the steps and for those who did not want to come inside the church, and the wind was blowing. It was a beautiful afternoon, and it was just that beautiful moment as the wind blew. It was just that amazing reminder of God's grace that's all around us, that's wanting to forgive us. All right, Janet, how is it that some churches continue adoration while others announce that they cannot due to the shelter-in-place guidelines? That's a great question. So the way I understand kind of the request of our bishop is, that there can be times of adoration, but it really should be limited, because anytime you have a public liturgy, which adoration is a public liturgy, it tends to draw people, and we are under no more than 10 people in the church at any one time by mandate of the city of Tulsa. So there may be some churches that are able to regulate that a little bit more than others, but we have found that when we open the church, we have confession, we have adoration. It is hard to kind of stay within those guidelines of the city of Tulsa. And so as beautiful and as much of a tradition as it is to have adoration in the monstrance, we have been inviting people to come and pray before the Blessed Sacrament in the tabernacle. The Christ is present there as well, as a way to, again, to help cooperate with the request of the city to not gather in any one place more than 10 people on a location. And so some churches may have been able to arrange that and finagle that a little bit more than we have been able to do here at the cathedral. So that's my best answer to your question on that one. Oh, there's Deacon Kevin. Reading any good books?
So I finally got around to going back to this book on St. John Marie Vianney by Trochu. So it's his autobiography, or his biography, I guess. So a beautiful, beautiful book. Yeah, so I'm halfway through that.
All right. Chelsea, I miss Holy Family Cathedral. KC can't compete. Miss you too, Jerry Potter. Oh, who doesn't miss Jerry Potter is the question. Once you've met Jerry, I mean, the next best thing is heaven, I think. So, Chelsea, we're glad that you have tuned in tonight. The cathedral is definitely a very special place, and so we're glad that you're at least with us virtually this evening. There's Ziegler's. Hello, Ziegler's.
Hello.
Thank you for keeping us stocked in candles and all sorts of things liturgical. We're very happy to have Ziegler's as a hometown business here in the city of Tulsa. And so if you need any religious objects, candles, First Communion things, Ziegler's, as well as Catholic book and gifts are wonderful places to go. Antoinette, who are the two seminarians that are staying with you?
So we have Joshua Truba, who is a third-year theologian, soon to be ordained as one of our deacons, transitional deacon. We also have Daniel Gormley, who is a second-year theologian, who's with us. So it's been neat to have these guys here around. Some extra hands.
Tell them what they're doing during the day.
So actually, they're still going to classes. So they've gone into that distance learning through their seminaries. So during the day, they're on Zoom or Google Hangouts and going through their classes. And then in the evenings, we have some downtime to eat together, pray together, maybe play some board games, watch some movies. So it's been really good to have these guys here and to truly have a full house. We thought we had a full house before, but now it's full. So
I feel like we're running a seminary here again. There are 7 of us living in this house, and I was coming down the stairs on Saturday, and I just kind of had this flashback of seminary life together. Just, again, the way the routine set in with laundry and dishes and cooking and some cleaning and social time and prayers. I mean, it really does feel like we have kind of entered back into that rhythm of seminary days. But to Father's point, we have a big Scrabble board upstairs in the community room, and so we get some pretty serious competition going with some games in the evenings, which is always a fun time to hang out and just unwind from the day. So they've been a nice addition to the household. All right, let's see here. Margaret's here. Janet Ortiz. St. Anne's canceled theirs for tomorrow. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see here. Hi, Janet. It's good to see you as well. I miss you and the St. Anne's people, so thank you for tuning in this evening. It's always nice to reconnect with my peeps from St. Anne's. Jazz, Father Kastl, could you and Father Carvajal share your vocation stories? Wow, what time is it? I could go on forever on that one. Maybe we can do a 3-minute version. Can we do a 3-minute version of our vocation stories each?
Yeah,
We can do a kind of a clip note version. Right, go for it.
Okay, so I grew up in a devout Catholic family. I went to Jinx, and then for high school I went to Bishop Kelly. I was serving, always at Mass since I was about 6 years old, so always loved serving, always had that great opportunity to be around really great and solid priests. And so those priests always threw out that idea, discern your vocation, see where God's calling you. So that was always in the back of my head, in the back of my mind. But I didn't think about that seriously until I got to high school. It was towards the end of my junior year that I began to pray about it, especially in front of the Blessed Sacrament. But it wasn't until after I graduated high school that I finally decided to join seminary. So I talked to the vocations director at the time, Father Matt Gerlach. I talked to Bishop Slattery back then, and then decided to join seminary. So I went to college seminary in Dallas for 4 years, and then to Mount St. Mary's in Cincinnati for theology for 4 years. So I had 8 years of good discernment, good formation, and then was ordained last summer, and here I am. So that's how God has been working my life. Very slowly calling me and forming me to be here. So
thank you for sharing that, Father. I was born and raised in Perkins, Oklahoma, which is about 8 miles south of Stillwater. Baptized as a Catholic, received my first communion. I was kind of out of the Catholic world for several many years during my kind of early childhood and into my middle school years. My freshman or sophomore year, I can't quite remember when it was. I came back into the Catholic Church. My dad's mother, Maxine, my grandmother Kastl, was a very strong Catholic in our family, and invited me to come back and kind of rediscover my Catholic faith. And I did it mainly because it meant having time with her every Sunday morning, going to Mass with her, having a breakfast with her at Brahms, and going grocery shopping with her, and then spending some time with her when I got home. And so it was more of a desire, I think, to spend time with her than it was necessarily in regards to wanting to go back to the Catholic Church. But once I kind of re-entered into that world through her invitation, it was kind of in that space that I rediscovered kind of my interior life and rediscovered the gift and beauty of the Catholic faith. And Father Bob Schlitt, who was the pastor at St. Francis Xavier in Stillwater at that time, was the priest who baptized me as a baby and very much took me under his arm, and I think, again, priests oftentimes are able to see, vocations, in young men, that there are certain qualities, that are pretty kind of telltale around whether that person may or may not have a vocation. And so he, I think, saw something in me, started working with me kind of in fostering that vocation. All the while, I began kind of having this interior sense that I was being called to the priesthood, but I did not want it. It was one of those things that I was adamant that I was going to pursue kind of my dreams of being kind of either something in the medical field as a profession, having a family, lots of children, and just the kind of the American dream of a life. But that sense of call kept coming up more and more within myself, and I tried to push it away until I really could not get rid of it. And I finally got to the point where I had to kind of to deal with it. And so I kind of made a bet with God that if I could find a young priest that was passionate about their priesthood, then I would consider going to the seminary. And so I was on the internet one evening, AOL dial-up back then, and actually came across the cathedral's website here at the Diocese of Tulsa, and Father Matt Gerlach's picture popped up, and that's back when he was this little skinny guy with these big red glasses, and under his picture there was a little quote that said, "Ask a priest a question." I emailed him and said, "Tell me you're not happy." And within 2 days, I was over here visiting at the cathedral, actually sitting in what is Father Carvajal's office now, talking to the young Father Matt Gerlach, and from that point, he convinced me that this life is a beautiful life. And I literally drove back to Stillwater, got the application, applied, and then began the seminary process my junior year of college. And I kind of fought it all the way through, and finally, kind of right before my diaconate ordination, the Lord gave me the gift of peace and I embraced it, and thanks be to God, because this coming May, it'll be 13 years that I've been a priest, and they have been some of the most beautiful and blessed years of my life. And I can't imagine doing anything else. And so the Lord has a way of working on us, and oftentimes it's through crooked lines, and it's oftentimes asking us to do things that are outside of our comfort zone. And so thanks be to God, I had the humility at some point to kind of surrender, and it's been a beautiful ride. And so much of that is because of you. The people of God are everything to us as priests, and my ability to be in the best of times and the worst of times in your lives have made my life all the richer, and so I'm grateful for that. So thanks for asking that question. We're always happy to share that story. All right. You can cook for the choir again anytime. It was delicious. Happy to cook for the choir. We had a little dinner between the evening masses for Christmas Eve, and so we invited the choir in and those who were deaconing and kind of helping with sacristy duties to come into the rectory and have dinner with the clergy between the 7 and the midnight mass, and it was a great time to have the choir and other people into the house for dinner. Tomatillo and homemade tortillas, high class. I don't know if it's high class. High class, I think it was pretty basic fare tonight.
That was basic. Yummy, but it was good.
Yeah. Tortillas are not that hard to make. You mix water with the masa, and you have a seminarian to roll them out, and then I stood there and fried them in a skillet. So you all too can make some tomatillos and tortillas. So just stretch yourself a little bit. Jim Evans, have either of you been to the Holy Land? If so, what was the experience like then, and how do you reflect upon it now?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's a great question.
I was there right after my deacon ordination, so 2 summers ago. Beautiful, lovely experience. Definitely want to go again next time I have an opportunity, and I'd recommend anyone to go. And it was just, it's hard to explain walking where Christ walked before, and to be in the same places where he was. And so it really helps put into perspective the kind of the historical mindset of the people, and kind of see what they saw in a way. It was especially powerful to be in the Via Crucis, right, where Christ would have been taking up his cross, and to just walk down there religiously while everyone is around you, kind of just going about their day, just going to the stores or whatnot. So it's a powerful experience, and sometimes when I'm going through some of the Gospels, I remember the spot that I was in, and it really helps you to read the Gospels. So I don't know what your experience was like. You've been a couple of times, haven't you, Father?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go several times, and every time is new. And I think each time you go back, it changes, because I think when you first go to the Holy Land, you're just overwhelmed by just the sensory experience of being in a very different culture. But for me, I think being up around the Sea of Galilee is particularly powerful, because the landscape, the topography is really kind of unchanged, from the time that Christ was walking those places where, Jerusalem has been built up, and there are churches, and, obviously there are certain things that are, you can go back and touch the actual historical point. But up around the Sea of Galilee is particularly special for me. And the Church of the Primacy of Peter, where Jesus, after the resurrection, in the last chapter of John's Gospel, really invites Jesus into that threefold commitment to be his disciple. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And standing there on the Sea of Galilee and thinking, that was from that point that, Peter would have, gone off to fulfill his role as the rock of the church. And I think for all of us who are called to be disciples, who are called into ministry, who deal with our humanity, our own rebellious hearts, our own denials of Christ, to stand there where Christ invited Peter to renew his love for him, and Jesus really kind of squaring off with him and allowing Peter to recognize that Christ would accept the level of love in which Peter could give, which was enough for Peter to be propelled to go and to be the new Jonah, being sent into the Roman Empire, into Rome. And so every time I visit that place, it's oftentimes on the pilgrimage that I've taken. It's the first place we go after the long flight, after the drive from Tel Aviv, and I'm tired and I'm vulnerable, and I'm a wreck when I'm there, and that is such a spiritual experience of, and kind of representative of sometimes the weariness of life, but yet Jesus continues to ask us, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And I think we have that opportunity daily to renew that love commitment with him, which then propels us to be, as Peter was, a faithful disciple. Even though we have fallen, we have the opportunity to be renewed. And so that place has particular significance for me in the Holy Land. But as Father said, all the sites have moments that just kind of wrench your heart. And if you've not been, I would encourage you to go. It's a beautiful pilgrimage that truly does change your life. There's sometimes that cliche, it changed my life. It changes your life because you'll read the scriptures differently. As St. Jerome said, it's the fifth gospel. And so I would encourage you to go. So I'm a huge fan. All right. Will there a special mass, or will you wait to celebrate with the Holy Family Cathedral parishioners and the faithful of the diocese celebrate the anniversary of Holy Family Cathedral? That's a great question. So tomorrow is the 106th anniversary of the dedication mass tomorrow. And so we will celebrate a special mass tomorrow, but again, obviously we can have additional celebrations in the near future. So tune in for the 12:05 mass tomorrow, and we will celebrate this great moment of our history here at the cathedral. Thanks for asking that. Any other options to conducting confessions? Just worried that priests are being exposed too much. Yeah, someone asked me, can we do teleconference? If we do teleconference confessions, wouldn't that be nice that we could do FaceTime confessions, and we could do, you could do I confess, and then I have I absolve on our cell phones, and we can kind of, do the bump and it absolves all of it. Unfortunately, sacraments are celebrated kind of through human contact. Obviously, we have to be smart, and if you come to confession here at the cathedral, you'll notice that we're outside of the confessional boxes. We have kind of spaces set up where there's more kind of air circulation and movement of air around us. And again, we're trying to keep that separation, the distance. We're playing music. We're playing Gregorian chant in the cathedral to help kind of muffle any sound of people's confessions to maintain anonymity. And so it's a risk we take, but it's one of those things that, as oftentimes say, priests can do something that no one else can, and it's absolving sins. And so for those who are in need of absolution, we have to make ourselves available, all the while being cautious and being judicious about our own safety, because we are human beings and people, that get sick. And so thank you for your care, but we're doing our best to wash hands and wipe down spaces and keep the 6 feet of distance and being in open air spaces and not shaking hands and not hugging and all those types of things, just to maintain our own health. So good question.
Yeah, we're still taking that precaution, but we certainly want to continue that great act, right? That's a priestly duty, right? So
right. All right, so Ziegler's is on again. What are the key things you take away from this situation, and with the news coming out that we are about 2 to 3 weeks out from our hard hit? How do you spiritually prepare for what the potential looks like as a priest, and what do you recommend for the laity?
So as a priest, while we continue to pray, we remember that the liturgical year continues, right? Masses have not been canceled, only publicly. So we continue to be faithful to the liturgy of the hours, to our masses, as we're praying for you all, to prepare yourselves for the coming of Easter, to continue to prepare your souls. Physically, we continue to prepare ourselves, through this time of Lent, but also, as Father just mentioned, prudently, right? We continue, to your question, we continue to be prudent, to wash our hands, to take care of our bodies during this time, as well as our souls. And so I'd recommend the same thing for the laity, right? Take those necessary precautions, but also those spiritual precautions, right? To continue to stray away from sin, right? To take this time to form good habits, right? If we are away from work and away from school, to take this time to set up a good order in your life, right? Have these set times for prayer, to reach out to family, to friends, in any way we can. Maybe it's just a phone call, to give if we have the opportunity or the ability to give financially in any way. Because again, we're still in this great time of Lent as we prepare ourselves for the great coming of Easter, of our Lord, into our hearts. And so though everything is kind of almost, I guess you could say, falling apart outside, inside we continue to remember that, the Easter season still approaches, right? And Christ is about to die for us on the cross, right? So we continue to prepare for Holy Week and for Easter. So I don't know, Father, what do you have?
I echo everything that you have said, and one of the things I think that's been a challenge, for me as a pastor, listening again to the true heartache, of the community that wants nothing more, to maintain their spiritual routines of daily mass, of confession, of frequent, or daily mass of adoration, of frequent confession, of Sunday mass. Those necessary kind of, we would even say, obligations that the church proposes as a way for rightful worship, and so now all of a sudden the church is saying, don't come to Mass. And it is so foreign. It is so foreign to our sensibility as a Catholic people that have lived under, again, this sense of due worship on the Lord's Day, this due worship on a daily basis, the participation in the sacrifice of the Mass, and now all of a sudden it's gone. And so I think there can be this almost a kind of a manifestation of selfishness, in that, like, I want to maintain those pieties because those pieties and those expressions of worship, which are the ordinary expressions of worship as a Catholic, we want to maintain them, and we can become angry, and we can become bitter, and we can kind of pass judgment on the Pope or on our bishops or whatever else because we want that. And so I think sometimes, humility and obedience are two virtues, I think, that we are being asked to develop right now. And the care for our neighbor and the care for the common good, that my own participation in this sacrifice, in this kind of Lent, this fasting from being able to have immediate access to the life of the church, the grace of the sacraments, etc., in my own personal life, it can make me bitter, or I can offer that sense of that kind of that self-denial or that absence. I can offer the pain of that absence, for the good of something else. And I think that's where we're all being challenged to say, okay, how does this fortify my faith that the church has discerned that it is best for us, to hunker down, to social distance, to take this kind of retreat from the ordinary normative way of worship for the good of the common, for the good of the community. And how do I enter into that? And how do I enter into my own sense of sacrifice, of that sense of longing, and offer that sacrifice to the sacrifice of the cross? We talk about redemptive suffering. There's a lot of opportunity to offer up, the sufferings that we're experiencing, whether it's just the separation from the church, whether it's the loss of jobs, loss of income, whatever it is. How do we offer that up? Because again, as a Christian people, the Paschal mystery is the center of our lives. It's the life, it's the death, and it's the resurrection. And we are in a time of death. And we are in a time of death going into Holy Week, right? Where we celebrate the very death of Christ, but 3 days later he rises from the tomb at Easter. And I think it's an opportunity for us to feel that and to enter into that in such a physical way that we probably never have before, during this very unique time in our history. And so I think as a faithful people, to enter into it from a spiritual perspective, but also to enter into it as this understanding that my kind of obedience and my humility in participating with the law of the land and kind of the request of the church also is for the common good of my neighbor who may be vulnerable, who may be have an immune system issue, that I could get sick by my own wanting to fulfill some desire that I'm used to doing. And so humility, obedience, and just kind of praying for the gift of faith, and also binding kind of our sacrifices to the sacrifice of Christ, and kind of that idea of redemptive suffering during this time. All right, we're going to take maybe one or two more questions, and Father's got to go to bed because it's getting late out here. So we're going to take Janice here. What happens if I don't have church clothes? We all wear jeans and leggings. We are so new to this thing. So I'm assuming you're talking about how to go to church on social media. Or even just in general, like, or maybe you are talking about church clothes coming to church. I think we dress the best that we can when we come to church with what we have. But at home church, I think we still try to honor the Lord's Day by getting ourselves out of bed, getting cleaned up, getting dressed, watching Mass, participating in Mass, not texting during Mass, not drinking coffee during Mass, but actually entering into Mass as we would if we were sitting in the pews at church. I've had a lot of people ask me, is it a sin to be drinking wine during 5:00 p.m. Sunday Mass? Yes. Put your wine down, have it at 6. Don't drink Mass during wine. You would not drink Mass during wine at church on Sunday. So put your wine away and enter into the celebration to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to put aside an hour, right? It's only an hour of that day. So put aside an hour, make yourself quiet down a little bit beforehand and afterwards, and offer that hour to the Lord as best as possible, right? I know some of you have families, and so it might be a struggle, but try to, as best as possible, to make that time for our Lord. Maybe put whatever device you're using, the laptop, the phone, whatever, on a home altar if you have one, right? And set it up as if that was the altar to help you kind of focus just on that. And maybe put a crucifix, maybe a candle, and really just help yourself in whatever way and your family to devote your time to the Lord. So.
All right, we're gonna take one more. And then we're gonna call it a night. Bobby Andrew is proud to claim you as a Stillwater man. Now, I am a Stillwater man. Actually, Perkins is my hometown, but Stillwater gets to claim me because that's where church was. All right. Ruth, you like to talk about food. Father Kastl, what are your main... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about dishes again. Your main duties for Bishop Kelly these days, how do you balance that in the rector duties? And so, again, I'm still the president of Bishop Kelly High School. I've got a great administrative team over there, wonderful teachers, wonderful faculty, and it is a team effort. And because it is a team effort, I'm able to do both roles at Bishop Kelly as well as here at the cathedral. And so, as I oftentimes say, Bishop Kelly is not mine, and nor is the cathedral mine. At Kelly, I've got a great team. At the cathedral, Father Carvajal is here really kind of as the daily consistent presence kind of throughout the week. And together, all of us make this work. And so it's a big church. There's a lot of work to get done, but when we bind together as clergy and bind together, together with the faithful, a lot can get done in a short amount of time. And so we're better together versus everyone having their own little kingdoms. And so that's my goal, is not to have a kingdom. Okay, Father, can you maybe close us with prayer tonight and give a blessing, and we'll sign off and everybody can get to bed.
All right. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Our help is in the name of the Lord.
Who made heaven and earth.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time together, this time where we could take some questions and to be as close as possible with our people, with your people. Continue to bless them, continue to guide us as we move forward during this difficult time, and continue to prepare us for the coming of Holy Week and Easter. Please bless us, bless our families, and we ask all this through our Mother Mary as we continue to ask for her intercession. We ask all this as well through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
And may the blessing of Almighty God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you all.
Amen.
Go in peace, and thank you all so much for your great questions and for your time. And we enjoyed this time.
We'll do this again if you want us to come back on and hang out with you. Just make it known in the comment sections once we sign off. And if there's a desire to hang out again on the evening, and if there's a better time than 9 o'clock in the evening, let us know. We thought at this time, those who have kids will have had dinner, have put the kids to bed, and can hop on here with us. And so That's the reason for 9 o'clock at night. But if there's a better time that would work for you, just let us know, and we'd be happy to accommodate. So God bless you guys, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.